Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers. Today we explore one of the most emotionally explosive storylines to hit Port Charles in recent memory. Dante's devastating fury at Gio and the heartbreaking events that ignited it. In the world of General Hospital, emotions often simmer just beneath the surface, until one moment sends everything spiraling. That's exactly what happened when Dante Falconeri found himself in a storm of rage, guilt, and anguish after a traumatic night that almost claimed the life of his son, Rocco. The aftermath of that night did more than just shake Dante's role as a father. It forced him to confront the kind of man he was becoming and ignited a bitter confrontation with a young man he didn't yet realize was his own flesh and blood. The night began like many reckless college parties do, out of control, chaotic, and drenched in poor judgment. When Rocco showed up to the party, no one expected the consequences to be life-threatening. But when Gio, the sensitive and gifted young violinist, stumbled upon Rocco unconscious, he made a decision that would haunt everyone involved. Rather than call emergency services, or even alert Dante, he took Rocco to the Quartermain boathouse, believing the boy was merely passed out drunk. Unbeknownst to Gio, Rocco was suffering from acute alcohol poisoning. Had Cody not arrived and rushed the boy to the hospital, it's terrifyingly possible that Rocco might not have survived. Dante's rage was immediate and blinding. He stormed into the hospital, not as a detective or protector of Port Charles, but as a father consumed by fear and desperation. In those sterile hospital corridors, Dante erupted with fury. His words to Gio were blistering, accusatory, and relentless. It wasn't simply that Gio had made a critical mistake, it was that he had put Dante's son in mortal danger, a mistake Dante couldn't forgive. What Gio didn't know was that in that moment, he wasn't being chastised by a stranger. He was being screamed at by his biological father. For the viewers who have followed Dante's tortured journey, the explosion was not just about Rocco's near-death experience. It was the culmination of months, perhaps years, of emotional strain. Dante had already endured the devastating loss of Sam, who had selflessly donated part of her liver to save Lulu, Dante's ex-wife and the mother of his child. That choice cost Sam her life. And while Lulu miraculously woke up from her coma following the transplant, nothing had returned to normal. In fact, everything had shifted into a haunting new reality, and Dante, once so composed and level-headed, found himself unraveling under the weight of personal tragedies. Dominic Zamprogna, who has portrayed Dante with profound depth and vulnerability since 2009, recently shed light on his character's downward spiral. In an interview with Soap Opera Digest, he reflected on the pain driving Dante's reaction to Gio. According to the actor, the scene in which Dante explodes on the young man was not just about a single error in judgment. It was about a man cracking under the pressure of unresolved grief and overwhelming responsibility. His whole life was turned upside down, Zamprogna said. And in that moment with Gio, it was too much for him. Indeed, the intensity of the scenes between Dante and Gio was harrowing. Viewers watched as Dante lashed out in the most brutal of ways, his voice rising, his composure shattered, his body language rigid with fury. Gio, clearly stunned and shaken, had no defense. He hadn't known Rocco was even at the party. He had done what he thought was best. But the truth is, when a life is at stake, good intentions don't always shield you from blame. Zampronia admitted that the scripts were among the most emotionally raw he had received in some time. Prior to filming, producers even gave him a heads-up about the depth of Dante's reaction, preparing him for a scene that would be more about instinctual emotional release than calculated performance. "It's a little unusual, you know," he shared. "But I tried to find the truth in it. And the truth he uncovered was gut-wrenching." For all his righteous anger, Dante didn't know he was berating his own son. The irony was cruel. The man who had lost so much, who had seen families fall apart and relationships crumble, had spent his wrath on the very boy who could have brought healing into his life. The very boy he might have protected had he known the truth. The scenes between Dante and Gio resonated with viewers not just because of their dramatic tension, but because they captured something real: how trauma can distort judgment, how fear can masquerade as fury, and how grief can leave even the strongest of men completely undone. What makes this storyline even more powerful is its future potential. When the truth about Gio's parentage eventually surfaces, as secrets in Port Charles inevitably do, it will send shockwaves through every corner of Dante's world. How will he reconcile his cruelty with the realization that he'd just attacked his own child? Can redemption be found in a relationship that started with such explosive misunderstanding? And what of Gio? A young man already burdened with the pressure of expectations, of artistry, and of finding his place in the world, how will he process the revelation that the man who screamed at him in rage is his father? Can he forgive? Will he even want to? The emotional stakes have never been higher. The writers of General Hospital have once again crafted a moment of heartbreak and confrontation that promises to shape these characters for months, perhaps years, to come. Every word shouted in that hospital corridor now echoes with deeper meaning, and every missed opportunity for understanding feels heavier with the weight of truth still buried beneath layers of pain. For Dante, this chapter may ultimately mark the moment he confronts not only his past mistakes, but also his future. Can he open his heart to a son he didn't know he had? And will Gio ever trust him enough to let him in? Stay tuned to General Hospital, where the most fragile bonds are often born in the most explosive moments, and where every tear, every scream, and every silence carries the promise of redemption, or destruction.